If you want to see two guys that are on a longer losing streak than the Chicago White Sox, go to YouTube and search out NTTFGPOD, like and subscribe. I'm Rock.
And I'm Archie.
Well, our opinions, they might not matter to some, but...
What are you doing in there?
It's a podcast.
Immature, crass, trashy. And those are their good qualities. These poor schmucks are a couple of IQ points away from eating paste. But when it comes to music, sports, and comedy, well, that's all they know. You're listening to
Not These Two Fucking Guys.
Not These Two Fucking Guys podcast.
I see a bad moon arising.
I'm going to up you one. Loving an elevator, living it up. And they're going
like
down.
your sister going down.
Oh, Aerosmith.
I am so sad, dude. So sad.
That kind of sucks a little bit.
I'm telling you, I literally 2 days before that I was looking at tickets to the farewell tour.
I got to see them once with Kiss at the PNC Arts Center, I think it was.
Nice.
Fucking iconic. Now, we're young chaps in the game. I consider myself a young chap. But when we were growing up, the big thing for us was like, remember those Alicia Silverstone videos? Liv Tyler? Yeah. Crazy.
Like in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Now, you talk to an old school Aerosmith fan, and they're like,
fuck you.
Come on, bro. They've been fucking Toys in the Attic, which I respect all those old school, what you call old school Aerosmith songs. But you talk to us growing up, MTV, Crazy. There was that other one.
The one for
on the edge, you can't help yourself from fucking like
Rich's theme song.
Yeah. Rich. Yeah, but
like the one from goddamn, what's that fucking movie? Ben Affleck, Armageddon. I don't want to close my eyes.
Oh, that was a huge hit. And also, what album was Janie's Got a Gun? How fucking big was that song when that came out?
Huge.
How big was that?
What do you think their biggest song was? You think it's Dream On?
Do you ever feel like when you hear Dream On, it doesn't sound like him?
Well, because it was from the late 70s.
Yeah, vocal wise, just because it was
from the late
70s. No, it's him, but it's just I feel like I think there's there's stories out there about this, but I don't know 100%, but it just doesn't like he just sounds different. Like his voice sounds different. One on Spotify, first song, Dream On, 1,170,519,044 plays.
Wow. 1 billion?
1 billion. Do you want to know what's do you want to know what's deuce?
Number two is going to be Walk This Way.
What you just said. I don't want to close your eyes. Armageddon. 1,036,447,000. Yes. And number 3, Walk This Way. Number 4. Are you ready? One of the, not like badass, one of the coolest movie intros.
I probably won't know it as a movie intro, though.
Oh, yeah. When I say it, you're going to be like, foiled again.
What?
Marijuana. High school.
Dazed and Confused. Yeah.
You remember the intro?
No, I don't.
The intro is Sweet Emotion.
Yes.
The intro, Sweet Emotion, if I'm correct, which I'm probably
Not.
thank you. The budget to make that movie was X amount of dollars, whatever it was. That's how much it took up using Sweet Emotion. like that was like their own, like a big budget. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that intro is like minutes long too. Like we're gonna use that song. It's gonna cost how much? Oh, we're gonna make sure we use that song. Like, because I remember the intro being like quite long. Anyway, and number 5 is Crazy. Fucking great song.
That was the video where she fucking bungee jumps off the bridge.
Yes. And then remember, I was crying when I left you.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Dude, Aerosmith had here we go.
They had
fuck this word up. A resurgence in like I think like with Run DMC, like in the late 80s. Wasn't Walk This Way like a late 80 thing? Yeah,
I think they were on the verge of breaking up too, like before that, like late 70s, blah blah blah. Resurgence in the 80s and another resurgence in the 90s.
And the 90s. And that hit was so big in the 90s, they were high all the way into the 2000s.
That's it.
And
you make jokes. Look at this guy making jokes. Music, sports, and comedy.
I'm trying to hit that last C hard.
Yeah.
Well, it's earlier.
Also, you're trying to get your comedy chops up.
I got more spunk. 1993, that album came out. Get a Grip. I could never remember the name of it. All I knew is that it had the fucking udders of a cow.
Did it have a piercing in it too? In the udder?
I think it had a piercing. It did have a piercing.
Or is that a Mandela effect fucking thing?
No. But I think it might be called something else. Or maybe it is a piercing. Do they have piercings on that? Do you think that cow went to Pleasurable Piercings in Montclair, New Jersey?
There we go.
Get a Grip. Looking at this album, Eat the Rich, Living on the Edge, Crying, Crazy, Amazing. You're
amazing. Oh, wow.
You're talking about like they're coming out 25, even more years later with a fucking banger of an album. And it's not like nowadays where the albums are like, 10 songs. This album is 14 songs and like 5 are bangers.
It's a good song. Jaded.
Yes.
Jaded, and I'm the one who jaded you.
Yes.
Ready?
Or how about pink is my favorite color?
Yeah.
Aerosmith was good, man.
Yeah. Dude looks like a lady.
Dude looks like a lady.
Do you know who that song is about?
No.
I want to say it's Vince Neil. And that was like
I think I vaguely...
The lore of a tour with them, whatever, fucking...
Why do I vaguely remember this?
Because you smoke a lot of weed and you vaguely remember lots of things.
Yeah.
You can only vaguely remember.
I vaguely remember that.
All right, so let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Is Aerosmith the greatest American rock band of all time? There's only one other band that I would say, but I don't, and it's probably sacrilege because people fucking get tight about this kind of stuff. But
well, you said American, right? Because I immediately,
American.
My head went to Zeppelin. So
American.
America. Hold on, let me think of this.
And I love you. Don't you fucking dare say Kiss.
No. Yeah, no. I love Kiss, but
I'll tell you.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no because but see, I'm more biased this way. I'm gonna say there is another rock band from America that I feel is better, but it's more my taste. And that would be Van Halen.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I'm sorry.
Absolutely not.
That's just my. I like them better.
Okay.
I like them better.
I didn't say. All right. Let me rephrase. the biggest American rock band.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know.
but
I think of American rock. I think of Aerosmith.
yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I
All
would
right,
have
and
to
you want to
say.
use the term rock loosely, but I think the second or approaching that would be like the Eagles. Because they all
Okay.
had like fucking pretty good solo careers too, then like just hit after hit after hit. But
Yeah. I don't know much about the Eagles. But is Don Henley is the summer song? Is that his solo? What's that song?
yes, Summer of '69.
No, that's
No,
Brian
I
Adams.
mean,
I'm on the
Boys of
road
Summer.
got a Boys of Summer. That's his solo
The
act though.
boy. It's called They did a mashup. It's the Boys of Summer of '69.
How do you not
Him and
mesh it?
Brian Adams.
How do you not do that in your cover band rock? Hotel California.
Yeah. In the cover band, let me tell you a quick thing. This is the only, I'm not a comedian, but goddamn, my fucking funny. Right now, Sean Morton's like, go fuck yourself. On stage, cover band right there. At the end of the night, we needed to fill another 30 minutes, and like we had a ton of songs to play. But we're like, what do you guys want to fucking hear? Someone's like, Nirvana, play Nirvana. Okay, so I like Nirvana. We played. We don't know it, but we played.
Teen
Smells like
Spirit.
Teen Spirit.
Yeah.
And we get through it. It's good, and they're fucking they're going nuts like actual Nirvana fucking reformed fucking.
Yeah.
And, they're fucking hammered, and we appreciate it. It was a good crowd, right? I get on the mic and I got to tell one liner, and it fucking killed.
Here we go.
I saw some people like right off the bat were dying laughing. Some people, half of them went like this.
Okay.
Oh shit!
God.
You probably know. I probably said it to you. I go, ladies and gentlemen, what did Kurt Cobain say before he shot himself?
Go ahead.
Hole's gonna be big.
Dan.
Get it, Hole, his life band.
Got it.
I explained for some people. I'm like, killed.
Hey, listen. The closest you're gonna get to stand up, right there.
That's it. I'm gonna tell Sean. I'm gonna see if I can open up for him on his special. Give him a quick slot.
Yo, Rock.
What's up, dude?
Oh, our guest tonight has fought in the cage, the ring, and even against crime from Bellator and PFL, UFC and BKFC, and now to protect and serve. Welcome to Not These Two Fucking Guys podcast, Jimmie Rivera.
What's up, guys?
What's up, bro?
What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Good. Thanks for taking the time. We appreciate it.
I like the name to your podcast. It's good. It's not original.
Yeah, it's not like Joe Smith podcast. I was right before the pandemic. We started. I'm 1 month before the pandemic. We started, and we were searching for some names. And I was walking my dog, and I smoked a little bit. I was walking my dog, and I was like, "Not these two fucking guys." Yeah, real big brainstorm right there.
Yeah, there you go. He's the
It's good.
He's the brains behind the operation.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, you have a little bit of everything. Like everything's always with like a fighting or a cage name or or just their person's name podcast. It's nice to go a little. Not these two fucking guys again.
You can't get more fucking Jersey, New York than that.
No, it's good. I enjoy it.
So, talk about it. We're all from Jersey. What part of Jersey you grew up in?
I grew up in Ramsey, in northern Bergen County.
Okay.
Yes.
We grew up in Bloomfield.
Okay, not far.
Yeah, not too far.
Yeah.
And now your latest thing is you're a cop in Elmwood Park.
Yeah, East Patterson.
Yeah,
there you go.
East Patterson. Yep.
From Jersey. I had a school in the city and I was fighting. At the time I was in the UFC when the pandemic happened. And it just kind of got like all diverted and messed up when the pandemic happened. And it was just landlords weren't really forgiving.
Sure.
And it was like a little rough because I'm like, all right, we weren't fighting at the time, even though Dana White got the fights going again, which was awesome. And at the same time, I could have run a school. At that time, I didn't have any kids, so I was like, this is kind of scary, and I drove my wife crazy. So went out and got like some side job for a little while, but then I actually sat down with Chief Mike Foligno. I was like, hey, he wanted to get a defensive tactics program going, and I wanted to get my feet wet a little bit, just start dispatching. And then I was like, especially wanted to get the program rolling. I'm like, let me dispatch, let me get my idea of how it's like, and help these guys out. Fast forward 5 years later, almost, and we have an awesome defensive tactics program with myself, Mike Foligno, and one of the co-founders, and my coach, Ron Showman from Tiger Showman's. Been on the force 2 years now, dispatched for about 3. It's kind of like a whole learning thing. I still own a school, but I got out of the city. I own a school in Short Hills. And besides that, still fighting. You know what I mean? Fighting a lot longer than I thought I would, especially with fighting with BKFC.
So you're right now you're 35?
Yes.
Which is right on the cusp, right? It's you're still young enough, right? But in 35 in combat sports is towards, you have more days behind you than you do in front of you. So what after your UFC contract expired, what steered you towards BKFC?
So we got offers from all different places, and I love to box. I thought the sport was really cool. And obviously they gave me one of the biggest numbers out of all the organizations I went to, unless I was fighting for PFL for the $1 million. That's a whole different story.
Sure.
After I did my first fight, how long ago? My God, it was like 3-4 years ago. I did my first fight. I fell in love with it. It was awesome. Not to mention, I think the biggest appeal is that it's a great payday, more than I was making the UFC. But at the same time, it's a lot easier on my body. So I didn't think I was going to fight. I think I was by 35 doing MMA, I was going to be done. But the fact that I've only really been boxing and doing a little bit MMA here and there, I could always do an MMA fight with Dave if you wanted to. But the fact that I could just boxing right now, and the number and going out there and what we do is, it's fun. I always been a big fan of boxing, just like appealed to me the most. And that's why I ended up going that route and staying with them.
So
See, that's cool.
For two dudes who have never been punched in the face for money, what could you explain being punched in the face with a glove versus bare knuckles? How could you describe this?
I think the simplest thing is that if you're throwing the punch, if you mess up, there's a lot of forgiveness
With the glove.
Without a glove. There's not, and easier to get cut without a glove than it is with a glove. Going into that, one of my first questions when I signed with them, they did a whole interview with me and all that. They were like, think about getting punched in the face with a bare knuckle. I'm like, well, I've been kicked in the face with a shin. I think that's
yeah.
And that was like the Piran fight. Like, he kicked me in the face, kept going. It wasn't as bad as what Perry did to Eddie Alvarez with his orbital, because Eddie 3 different places, but I did fracture my orbital in that fight. Was it super bad? No, not as bad as I've seen other people fracture their orbital, but I've been kicked in the face. I've been kicked in the head. I still think getting kicked in the head is a lot worse than getting punched in the face with a bare fist. So, that's my opinion. But for guys, people, asking about it, that's the only difference. It's just easier to get cut.
Got it.
So, we've had some, BKFC fighters on, and I think a big thing of it is that I guess that the general public doesn't maybe realize is the protecting of your actual hands when you're throwing in bare knuckle versus MMA. Now there has to be some kind of difference.
There's a huge difference. You really got to pick your shots. If you just throw aimlessly, you're definitely going to fuck up your hand. When my first fight, when I fought Howard Davis, afterwards, we saw his hand afterwards and we talked, and real cool guy. His fucking hand was like bigger than my head. And I was like, damn, he threw one over the top and it hit the top of my head. And that kind of sucked. And, we were expecting more right hands from his fight. And I guess right in that first round, maybe the second, whenever he threw it and hurt it, it kind of stopped him from throwing more. So, thank you for my hard ass head. But yeah, man, that's the thing. If you get more into the BKFC and you really sit down and study it, at the end of the day, between, doing MMA fights, boxing, and doing the BKFC, and the time and how many minutes you're fighting, how long the rounds are, all that, BKFC is a lot safer for fighters than anything else. People don't, they think it's so violent because it's so easy and people are cut up and all this stuff. But I'm like, you're only doing 10 minutes. You're not doing a 36 boxing a 36-minute boxing fight where you're going to hit continuously with boxing gloves to the head. You're not doing an MMA fight where you can get kicked in the head as well as get punched, and you get punched a lot more and keep going further. Like, if you get hit here in BKFC with a good shot, and it's a really good shot, most of the time you're not continuing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I think the training's a lot different. There's a lot of pro size to it, but it all depends on what kind of training camp you're in, what kind of fight. But the fight itself, I think, just competing is a lot safer than the other different promotions out there.
Yeah, and I think that with boxing, I think it's where the long-term damage comes from. What they're finding out now is that it's that like you said, the sustained damage, fighting, fighting, you're gonna hit with gloves, you're not quite finished, but you're not there in the rest of the fight, and it's that over 36 minutes or however long the fight is, it builds up over time, over so many fights.
Totally agree with you. I also think people are a little different how they train. Like, you look at Forrest Griffin, you look at Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell, T. Ortiz. They used to go balls to the wall and beat the shit out of each other in training. And this is now you look at like Wonder Boy, Max Holloway, I think Tony Ferguson as well. They don't spar at all. They just drill.
Yeah.
They don't spar at all. Now you look on the boxing side, and we go to a lot of boxing gyms. We've been going to boxing gyms when I was doing it before I even got into UFC. These guys box. These guys that are boxers box every week, and they at least do 1 or 2 sparring sessions. Like, sparring session actually was last week. I did 3 or 4 rounds, and then prior to that was right before my fight in May. You know what I mean? So haven't got hit in the head since. I mean, I drill, but there's a whole difference of drilling than someone trying to really go hard and hit you in the head. It's a different perspective. So it's just kind of interesting, like, how boxers train, how MMA fighters used to train, how they train now. Like, I think it's a big thing of people are still sparring, but some people are more into just, let's take away from the sparring and let's just go high intensity drilling.
Well, like the guys that you said, like Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, Randy Couture, how training used to be. We had on Babalu Sobral, and he says he has the beginning of CTE, and he attributed to how he trained, how many times he fought, the amount of fights, the damage taken over time, and I think in that generation of fighters, really, it wasn't really like accounted for, I think, until now.
Totally agree with you. I think in the MMA world is changing. I don't think it changes in the boxing world. I still go to boxing gyms and I see guys, spar. They don't even have a fight coming up and they spar like once or twice a week. And I'm like, yeah, nah, I'm only sparring when I have a fight coming up. And I'm only sparring when I'm like 8 weeks out. I'm not doing anything more than that than high intensity drilling. You know what I mean? And always wearing headgear when I spar. Like, some of these guys don't do it like that. You know what I mean? Headgear doesn't help as much with the whole CTE thing, but stops you from getting cut, obviously. And hey, might help a little bit, maybe a little bit with the CTE. But
definitely help you from taking some Advil for the next day. Yeah, a little bit. Fuck that.
Yeah.
God bless you.
So at like this stage of the game for you, right? When you say how like some of these guys just do, all the sparring, hard sparring, and I guess like the hard sparring is what to at this point is I mean, explain to us, is it to test yourself, and clearly you could take a punch, you know what I mean? So what would be the need for it at this point?
I think when it comes down to the hard sparring, a lot of what we do is just trying to get out of our comfort zone. So like, if people come in, like I did a sparring session last week and I had people come from a different gym and I worked with someone, you know what I mean? I think that's I think the reason for the hard sparring sessions, and if I only believe in doing them, weeks before you fight. Not saying I have a fight coming in, but since someone came, I was like, let me jump in. I'll get some. But I think you should only do 8 weeks out. And the whole thing is, if you go somewhere else, a lot of times they don't know who you are. They're most likely your hard drilling is going to turn into sparring. So you're going to spar. So you want to get in that uncomfortable situation. You know what I mean? And in the gym and in other places, it's really just to get out there and push the pace. You know what I mean? I think when it comes down to, it's like a switch, like you're hard drilling, so you're pulling your punches. But now when you're sparring and you're trying to hit hard, there's no more pulling your punches, and you're really pushing your cardio. And then when you're in a different gym that you're not used to, now you get in that uncomfortable situation where the fight's going to be sometimes. You know what I mean? You go in the fight, like many times I went in the octagon, I was comfortable, but then I would get, if I got hurt or if I got a situation like, oh shit, he's got my leg. It was an uncomfortable situation. And that's what you need to practice when you're out of the ring or the cage or whatever it is. So getting out there in other gyms, again, that uncomfortable situation sparring helps. Getting guys that come to your gym and doing those uncomfortable situations help. And I think at the end of it, those 6 to 8 weeks out, even if I'm going with a teammate, it's really just to push your cardio more.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm real interested in like you're running a program with the Elmwood Park Police to forgive me if I'm wrong about this, to help train officers?
So my chief and I are really good friends, and we have a very good chief. So when it comes down to it, we've been doing defensive tactics with our police department for a little over 4 years now.
Yeah.
The PTC, which is in charge of, the Police Training Commission, in charge of, training cops and all that, starting next year, is supposed to be mandatory for police officers to do defensive tactics for 12 hours a year. All right. So we have to shoot 4 times a year. Hours have to get in. We have to practice active shooter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we jumped the gun and started a program where we have level 1, 2, and 3. Each one builds off each other. And we do some programs, there's so much to it, but some programs that you go to are like 8-hour sessions for 4 or 5 days a week. It's just too much. Like imagine trying to train for 8 hours. It's impossible,
Mm-hmm.
So we do a 6-week or 7-week program where it's 2 hours every Thursday. So when these guys are off during the day, so this doesn't interfere with, family stuff in the afternoon, they get comp time for it, and they have mandatory to come in twice for each program, for the level 1, the level 2. So level 1's beginning of the year, level 2 is before summer, and then level 3 will be in the winter time. And from there, from doing the defensive tactics, for giving these guys a game plan when they go on scene for something, has brought down use of force. When force, both the officer and the subject or actor, you want to say, were safe, no one got hurt. You know what I mean? Just the numbers itself went down. And a lot of it, I think it has to do with that. These people, if people don't realize, these officers go into the academy for 5.5 months. They get, now it used to be 40, now it's 80 hours of defensive tactics, which is a jiu-jitsu based program, teaching cuffing, a couple other things, some knife defense, gun defense, all that. They do 80 hours. After they graduate the academy, they never do it again, ever. All the other training is like taser, firearms, all the other things, but hands-on stuff, they never do it again. So we already changed it before the PTC even came in. It was like mandatory 12 hours. We've been doing it with our department every year, twice a year. Now we're doing it 3 times a year before it's even mandatory next year. And it just, listen, you go in there, you have to talk to someone, you have to de-escalate a situation. How can you de-escalate a situation if you're not confident enough? If you don't believe in yourself, that if this goes hands-on, if we're going to wrestle around, whatever it's going to be, I'm going to be able to protect myself. If you don't have that confidence, then you can't de-escalate shit. So it gives them a game, gives them that confidence too. And it also works on something that we literally, most of the time what officers are going to do is hands-on. That's what they need practice with.
That's good you say something like that, because I'm standing outside of a circle, but thinking about this, like an officer that's prepared and confident and knows that maybe in this type of situation, I can de-escalate this without reaching for my gun.
Yeah.
Like, I know that, this could be, a judgment call, but I think we can get this done a different way, a more peaceful way. That's something that should be implemented nationwide.
I totally agree with you. And if you ever see police interactions, I even seen it before when I first got on, is that some people compensate and they change their tone. And instead of coming in, I'm just talking to you, they're coming at 100.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things that you can't do. Once you go up to here, how do you bring it back down? You could start here and work your way up. You can't go from here back down. So
it's like arguing with your significant other. You can't start off up here. You can't never bring it back down.
And you got to take it's good practice too. I'll tell you. People argue with my wife. I just look and I'm like, I just bite my tongue. I don't even say it. I don't say it.
Yeah.
Like someone sent me. I shouldn't be texting and driving, but I'm looking. I'm like, let me just reply to this real quick, like 2 words. Chick, do you have to really text and drive? I'm like, no. I didn't even say anything in my head. I'm like, no, I don't have to respond. I can wait. I know I might forget it, but I'm like, oh yeah. So she just in the car. So we get into church and we're waiting for our friends to come with their kid. And she's about to text him this, she's about to text him, just tell him where we're sitting at. And I look at her, I'm like, hey, do you really need a text now? And she goes to me, I'm just letting her know, you know what? You're right. I go, okay. Which I was just trying to prove a point.
Yeah.
But I just
that's the best.
I can never. I think my wife keeps a little angry a little longer, but a little longer is maybe a couple hours or an hour or a half hour, minutes or something like that. Me, like 5 minutes later, I'm like, whatever. I get over it.
I'll wake up the next day after a Royal Rumble and I'll say, listen, hey, everything good? Want to get some breakfast? And she's like, like fucking staring at me like with beams. Like, do you know what we went through last night? I'm like, let's just go. Let's just move past this.
I know.
I'm not like that.
I mean, every now and then you have a disagreement. I'm not saying you have it all the time. I mean, you don't ever disagree. Something's wrong. You know what I mean? But I think the biggest thing with the disagreement is that you guys, whoever you're with, you just come to a conclusion at the end. And the always biggest thing is I never went to bed angry at my wife because I literally would be angry and not be able to go to sleep. But just made it a point. I think we always made it a point, her and I, never to go to bed angry because it doesn't start the day off right the next day. The next day is a new day. We have whatever disagreement. Not saying it all the time, but she's like, you shouldn't text and drive this and that. I'm like, I get it. I get it. I understand. I try not to at all. I'm actually pretty good at it. I usually put on a podcast when I'm driving my hour to work or to training and my hour back or my hour to my school, hour back. It's just every now and then, you know what I mean? I do a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
I do it. She gets upset and it's literally like, I'm just like, here, I'm like, boom, boom, boom. All right. And then I go and then, she gets upset. So I'm like, get it. I know she cares. And sometimes I want her to care a little less, but that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? It's like that motherly instinct, when you're growing up, mom's like doing all this stuff and you're like, just love me a little less, mom.
That's it. I think the biggest fight that I encounter most of the time is, what do you want to do for dinner? Like, oh, fuck. No. Oh, God, please, no. that turns into a brawl real quickly.
What turns into a brawl? Like you say, I want to do this, and she doesn't agree with you.
No, it's both of us not having a definitive like craving for something or like know what we want, and it's just like, well, what do you want? Then someone mentions something, then it's like, not really that. Well, you just said you're open for anything. What do you mean, not really that? That kind of thing. And then again, it just degenerates into an issue.
So I've been training lately, so I've been like having a couple cravings I've just been filling before I have to go completely clean. But I usually, when that happens, I'm like, give me 2 options or give me 3 options. And I hear 3, and I'm like, all right, I'll take that one. You know what I mean? That's like for food. She's like, I'm going to cook tonight. What do you want? I'm like, give me 2 options. Give me at least 2 options, and I'll pick one of them. And usually it's 2 options. I'm like, I want that instead. And I usually able to pick it. But it's hard to kind of go off of like nothing where they're like, what do you want to eat? I'm like, I don't know. What do you want to eat? And then you start going. That's why you got to go 2 options to your wife. Like, give me 2 options, and we'll figure out from there.
Especially if we're both hangry at the time, that's an issue. So,
well, you got on top of that, like, I was like, before we go to church on Sundays, like, I make sure to eat something before I go because else I'll get hangry. And whether it's just something little, power bar, whatever, I make sure I have something because otherwise shit's gonna hit the fan. My kids, they're still drinking bars. They're still young, 2 and 3, so we're not worried. I gotta have something, or else I'm gonna fucking lose my shit.
It's funny because my wife was like, "Hey, do you want to have sex?" And I was like, "Give me 2 options." Yeah,
any good ones?
Bro, if I said that, I wouldn't be on this podcast right now. I got kids. I got two kids.
How old are they?
4, just turned 4, and next week she's gonna turn 6.
So they don't sleep with you at all?
No, they'll come in the morning, but fucking they're still good. They're in their bed, thank God, right now.
Did they ever sleep with you, like when they were little?
Yeah. Oh, like what? Like firstborn? Like they stayed with us.
Like 2 and 3.
No, around 2 and 3 is actually we got them. We thank God we got them to sleep of their own. But they don't. Do they sleep with you guys?
Unfortunately, yeah, and especially the 2-year-old now too. They used to be just me and my wife,
Yeah.
and the kids were really well in the crib. But then my oldest, I don't know if she had night terrors or what. She would always wake up fucking hysterical. So now my youngest sleeps with us too. So it's fucking. I got my 2 kids, my wife, and my dog that's 135 pounds in the bed. So I'm like, and there's like no mommy and daddy time ever.
No.
And I'm at a point now, so I have the phone hanging up right now on a little stand. I have another stand in our room that now I'm like, I can't fucking stand Dora anymore. I don't want to watch Paw Patrol anymore. I don't want to watch, Dora and Paw Patrol are like the biggest thing. I don't want to watch anything anymore because I've seen everything 1,000 times.
Frozen.
I got burnt out on Peppa Pig myself.
Literally have something standing like right next to it, like a little mount. So while they're watching this, like she was watching Paw Patrol. I'm watching, or Dora when we're nap time, and I'm watching like Main Cabin Masters. The whole watching that. I can't do it anymore. I'm going crazy. My wife is like into like playing a game on her phone because she can't do it either. Like my one daughter loves Dora, but even my youngest is like, no more Nana, no more. Bro, me and my wife are agreeing with Rosie. Like, we agree. Like, no. I'm like, we know. P, you gotta just talk P into it.
Yeah, dude. The one thing I experienced around when they were 2 and 3 is that I'm not a napper. Like if I'm sick, I'll take a nap. I was fucking sitting down, bro. I would sit down and I'd be like out of nowhere. Like that's how fucking sleep deprived I was. And I'm not the first father to say that, but there was a lot of fucking getting out. We had our second child during COVID. Like right in the midst of everything. I'm talking like we were in Valley Hospital in Valley Hospital in Ridgewood.
Yeah.
Now it's in Paramus. But they just moved to Paramus.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But we had our second at Valley Hospital, and you ever see The Walking Dead?
Yeah.
We would go out. I would peek out into the hall, and it was like you would hear the lights. You normally hear doctors, nurses, beeps, bops, this, that. Like nothing. You would hear.
You know what the name of Valley is, right? The nickname?
No. Oh boy.
I'm not saying I called this, but I've heard the nickname Valley Hospital is Death Valley.
Oh Jesus.
Oh God.
I heard. I mean, I
experienced good shit. I mean, we were good. We were happy.
I've never experienced anything bad when I have gone.
Yeah.
But I also, most of the time I have my doctor on speed dial. So usually, hey doc, I need stitches. Can I come to you? Hey doc, I need to get this checkup. Like I usually, hate.
Yeah, well, going back, it was like now at like 5 and 6, it's a little bit better, but now it's just another hurdle. They're like, I hate you. I don't want you to be my sister anymore. But yelling at the top of their lungs. And I'm just like, I see all these fucking videos on Instagram. You need to sit your child down.
Yeah. Okay.
And ask them, what is bothering you? And how do you feel? And I'm like, these motherfuckers don't even have kids. Fuck these motherfuckers.
So my wife's like that. Wants to talk to them, and I'm more like I'm trying to do the count to 3 thing, and I'm like, Rosie, please. And then like I get into a point where like, what the fuck's going on? I'm like, I just want to yell. My mom, when I was a kid, all she had to do was yell. She never hit me.
Yes,
it was enough for me.
Yeah, me too.
Try not to yell with the kids at all, but it's like it just gets to a point where like I gotta yell, but they're not even scared. Like my oldest, I don't know about you, my oldest has no fucking fear. Like I spanked her butt one time, and she like laughed. She's like, "Oh!" She's like, "Ow!" and started laughing at me. I'm like,
do it again.
This
That's what mine says.
this is the. I started my school from 3 and up. So we bring the kids in. Penelope's are hit and miss. Rosie, this past week, she did really well. Before, she just didn't want to do it. So I started the class, and I was on there for the start of the class. So the first week, she did the whole thing, and I came in towards the end. Second week, I was there to the start of class. She didn't do shit. The third week, she started giving me some back, and I go Angel. I grabbed one of my other instructors there, one of my other head instructors teaches in the school. I'm like, Angel, put the fear in God in her. Right? Did the whole class, and the last 15 minutes class did it with me, but did great.
Yeah.
My daughter, so that youngest is like my wife. My oldest one is completely fucking me. She's like, I'll just do whatever the fuck I want to do. Everything's on her terms. So I get mad because I'm gonna do whatever I want. So I can see where the resemblance comes.
Yeah.
But it's crazy how like your kids literally like do almost exactly everything you did as a kid.
Exactly. I don't want to burst your guys' bubble. My daughter's 12. Guess what? It doesn't get easier. It does not get easier. This is you'll be wishing you were back in these times. Believe me.
Well, I tell my wife all the time. I said, "Listen, we have to cherish this because soon they're not going to be like this. They're beginning their fucking period. You guys, all three, you guys begin your." Like we moved into this new house during the pandemic. There was 2 rooms done. This is before we had kids. The nursery was done and the man cave. All everything was a shit show. So I was like, I made a point to like, all right, I'm in the doghouse. I got my home. My wife said, why do you want 2 TVs? I'm like, in your man cave. I'm like, because I want fucking 2 TVs. I want to watch. Like, why are you asking me? I want to watch 2 different days at once. I want to watch this there or that there. Fuck, I'll put 3 TVs if I want. You know? I've always been the man that always asks for forgiveness, not permission.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But God willing.
I love when I hear people that don't have kids yet that are like, my kids never sleep in the bed with me. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna let me pinch your cheek. You're cute. I'm like, trust me. When it comes to being exhausted and it comes to like you just getting a little bit of sleep because they're gonna bother you. If not, you're gonna cave. That's what happens.
You know what? It all depends. Like my one daughter, I totally agree with you. My one daughter was like crying. I forgot what it actually wanted. I think she wanted she calls it her stick, her chapstick. She wanted it, fell. We're like 2 minutes from the house. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I just turn the music up. My wife's into playing her game on the phone. My mother-in-law's in the back and she's trying to comfort her. I'm like, meanwhile, just leave her be. And I just think she couldn't take the screaming. So I find over, I get out, I get the chapstick. She's like, thank you. Like all upset. Get back in and go. Boom, quietness. It's just like,
I know.
I still working on patience, but kids are so bad with patience. And I get mad because they're so young that they don't understand yet.
My nickname is actually my youngest, her name's Isla. And I go, Isla, the impatient. Please come here. Step forward.
Now, you spell Isla?
Good question. It is Ayla.
So I think my wife wanted to do ISL.
Yep.
But she was like, fuck, you're Spanish. You're half Spanish, even though the kids are only a quarter and I'm only 50%. But they're gonna call her like Isla instead of Isla because she wanted the traditional Irish way to do it because she's a mix of everything. So the kids got a quarter of Puerto Rican, a quarter of Sicilian, and then where the fuck my wife is.
Yeah.
I don't even know. She did Ancestry or whatever, and they do the whole thing. And she found out she's like 6% Jewish. And she's like, did you know this? I'm like, no. I'm like, who's it from? Your mom's side? She's like, no, it's actually from my dad's side.
Oh,
so your dad? That? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, I've got to bust his balls.
That's funny.
So you would pronounce, like everybody who sees it, they say Ayla.
Okay.
And I mean, how could you fault them? I would probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. The one thing that we did disagree but agreed on was our firstborn. Her name's McKenna. And she wanted it MCK, McKenna. And I'm like, bro, I ain't Irish. It ain't happening. We're not doing it. So it's spelled MAKENNA. I'm like, I like that. That's cool.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, we each had she got to pick the first girl, I got to pick the first boy. We both agreed on the boy name. I can't say in case we ever decide to have a third, even though my wife doesn't want to have any more kids. But what we made an agreement on is we had a second boy or a second girl. I got to name the second girl. She got to name the second boy, and we both got one veto. So our first daughter was Penelope. I loved it. She's named after.
Nice.
So the second one, because I'm also a martial arts teacher, so she would like pick up names. She's like, "No, that kid was an asshole." She's like, "What about that one?" I'm like, "Fuck that! I hated that kid." Like, so I was like, "All right." I gave some weird name just so she could veto it, so I could say Isabella. She's like, "No, not at all." This is when Encanto came out, and one of the girls were Isabella, and I love them. Izzy, Bella, all I just love those. I guess it's an Italian, like one of those Italian names. She's like, "No, fucking vetoed the shit out of it. I had no say." Like, but you agreed. You get one veto. You vetoed this name I gave you. I took this name. She's like, "No." So I kind of hated Encanto because of that. I love Kobe, but I hate the fact that I had to name one of them Isabella. But then it took a while, but she picked the second name, which I didn't mind. No matter what, I had approval. I was like, because with teaching kids and stuff like that, I got to deal with this. This is my kid. I got to call the name all the time. So our second's named after a saint as well, Rosalia.
Very pretty.
So, yeah,
very pretty.
Yeah, it's almost like dinner. Give me two options.
That's it.
Yeah, so it's cool. It's interesting because even I would be in school and people call me James, like the teachers, and I wouldn't pay attention to them at all. They're like, "Why aren't you? I'm calling your government name." I'm like, "No, my government name is Jimmie, motherfucker." I'm like, with not a Y. So I do thank my mom for giving me that name and not calling me fucking James. Like, probably the best thing. Like, people look at me like, "Wait, your real name is Jimmie?" I'm like, "Yeah, my real name is Jimmie," and I do like being a little special like that. Even though my wife says I'm a lot special, I do like.
Nice.
So sorry, guys, we've been way off topic.
No, this is great. This is great,
good, bro.
How do you juggle your time? Like you said, you teach martial arts. You're a cop. That obviously now you have two young kids, and by the way, you're still fighting professionally. Like
I think when fighting eventually ends, it's gonna be a lot better. But until now, I literally am nonstop. I just work 6 days a week, off Saturday afternoon and Sunday, and it's harder. Like sometimes people, "Oh, you own your own business, easier to take off." I'm like, no, it's fucking harder to take off actually.
Yeah.
So what's a little easier is I could take time off a little easier when I'm a police officer that day instead of when I'm working at the school. When I have a fight, it's just all ahead full, hustle nonstop. When I don't have a fight, I take a little time off of training, I take a little time off of the other jobs, just a little bit less, not that much, but and just spend time with the kids. But it's nonstop busy.
Yeah, I noticed on Instagram, man, you're a little bit of a foodie, I think.
I don't eat to live. I live.
Nice.
So is my mother.
Yeah.
So if you were to speak to someone who's not from around here, and they said, "Jimmie," I'm not gonna call you James, "Jimmie, where would you go for the best donut in this area?"
Oh, I've had a lot of donuts lately.
I can see that.
And my wife, like, first of all, I think she got it really, especially when I fought in Connecticut.
Uh-huh.
We were in Mystic, and they had this donut spot.
Okay.
And I had to do a review because it's been the best donut spot I've ever been to so far.
Okay.
I've tried all different places. I don't remember the name of it because I was like, "Holy shit, I wish I ordered more."
Yeah.
Mystic was unbelievable, that donut spot they had there. But the best one around here, it's kind of tough. What's the name of it? It's right in Paramus. There's a whole bunch of them. It started down south. I can't think of the name.
Duck Donuts.
It's donuts. Yes, I can't go to my Instagram right now because it'll
That's fine.
out of the podcast. But there's one. It's up right on Route 17.
Duck Donuts, I think, is right.
That's the Tesla dealership.
Yep.
There's a
that Duck Donuts.
So if you had to go somewhere around Bergen County or New Jersey area, Duck Donuts, obviously. You know what I mean? If you need something quick, can't go wrong with Dunkin'.
Can't go wrong.
You know what I mean? Krispy Kreme is good too. See, I always look for that particular donut. I'm always the big fan of like a nice, big fan of the white coconut from Dunkin'. But my other thing is like a rainbow sprinkle donut. And when I was in Mystic, that was probably the best and freshest donut. And granted, I don't know if it just tasted better because after a win, but it fucking good. You know what I mean? Like it was just unbelievable. And I was like, I've been thinking about it lately. I'm like, I think I told Sam, like, maybe we should just take a 3.5-hour ride because Connecticut wasn't close at all. It was so late and it was rough. It was Mother's Day weekend too. I'm like, oh, babe, I'm sorry. You know, my mom didn't mind at all because she's going to see me fight for my wife. I'm like, sorry, I'm still in your weekend right now. But it was that place is.
And well, the reason why I say this to the people out there is that your Instagram, I have it pulled up over here. I mean, you've been doing a lot of donut reviews. I like it. There was one place that I actually drove to in Tom's River called Uncle Dude's.
I don't know if that's on the list. My wife has a whole list of places to go. How was it?
Doods, Uncle Dude's in Tom's River. You gotta walk. It's like a walk-up window. You just randomly people fucking lined up down a sidewalk, and you just walk up to a window. What do you need?
Cool. I'm gonna have to do it in Tom's River.
Yeah.
All right. I'll tell my wife we'll take a trip. We have to go down to the beach, so that'd be a good excuse of why we have to go down to the beach.
Because I'm like a big favorite of like that maple bacon. Like they throw like a bacon on there with a glaze and shit.
Anything with bacon tastes good.
Yeah, no doubt.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like we went to this place it's supposed to be all like a lot healthier with burgers and stuff like that, right in Sparta, close to where I live. And the plates of meat was actually really good and all that. Like it was good. You know what I mean? It was just really good. It's supposed to be like a little bit all natural.
Yeah.
Just one of those things. I'm not even gonna lie. I started thinking about the burger. Oh, so the fries were good too because the fries are fried in the fat oil.
Like duck fat oil or something like that, or
comes from the meat, and they do this certain thing to it. Oh my god, the fries were unbelievable! Holy shit! It asked me before I forget. It asked me, "Do you want to bacon?" I'm like, "Yes, of course."
Of course I do.
I mean, bacon just makes everything taste so much better.
I know we're getting fat on this podcast, but listen, is there a place on 46 in Elmwood Park? That little fucking burger joint? Is that Elmwood Park?
I think it's Garfield, isn't it?
Is that Garfield? Tucked away?
It's right on the border. It's Steve. They're actually shooting.
Steve's, yeah.
Yeah, they're shooting. He's an awesome dude, Steve. He does a lot with our community policing, which is awesome. My chief, like the whole department has a great relation with him. Steve's Burgers is really good. They're actually filming Happy Gilmore 2 over there.
Wow.
I heard that.
Yeah. Steve is an awesome dude, and his burgers are great.
Bro, I went in. This is going back a couple of years, but I went in by myself, like a fucking gavone. I sat down. I shoved the burger size of my face and fries and the grease, and I went back. It was on a lunch hour too. I went back to work. I smelled like I was on the line cooking, but it was so fucking good, bro. Steve's Burgers, shout out to them. They were fucking good, real good.
I'm gonna have to go like Steve's Burgers here. Then the place I just went to was really good, and that's what's right next to that place, which you have to have eaten there before. White Manor.
Manor.
Hell yeah.
Jersey City and Hackensack.
Yeah,
Hackensack is the OG one. I think.
Yeah.
So
that's another good place too. There's a lot of go eat. Bergen County is probably one of the best. Besides the city, is probably one of the best counties to go get food in.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
It's a little side story. My wife now, when she was my girlfriend, I lived in Jersey City. We would go to White Manna at like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning on Tunnelly Avenue. Bro, I've never been to a burger joint where there was a guy with a bulletproof vest, unlocks the door, lets you in. You sit down, you order, shuts the door behind you, and I'm like, babe, we gotta wrap this up. we're gonna be wrapping this up.
Which location was that?
That was Jersey City, and this is going.
Jersey.
I haven't lived back there. It was across the street from a club, a bar that was. I'm not gonna start spreading shit. It was just not a great location.
I thought that was Hackensack. I'm like, I don't remember Hackensack ever.
This is the Jersey City one, and the guy had a bulletproof. Like I remember, like it was probably. I guess he was maybe a side job, but yeah. But that was an interesting burger experience. Tasted good though.
Arch, what's the spot we go to in Elmwood Park?
Oh, Blue 42.
Blue 42.
Oh, Giorgio.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Best wings out. He's got so many different types of wings.
Killer wings.
He's an awesome dude, Giorgio. He's It's also funny that it's like one of the very few Green Bay Packers
the most random. Like I was going there years ago. I'm sure you're in the area, but I was going there, like maybe 7-8 years ago, and I would walk into this bar. I was like, "This is a change."
It is cool. He's actually
very cool.
Ever so nice. Got a shout out to him. He's actually did the last fight. He did a watch party for when I fought in Connecticut, and he's always done watch parties for me and some of the local guys. Giorgio's an awesome dude, and plus his wings are fucking unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, wings are banging, and it actually it's a great place to watch sports in general, but it's a great place to watch a fight too. Really good.
Yeah, he's got an awesome setup. It's great. It's one of those things that I wish. We always go for lunch there. Or I'll grab something for dinner. I wish it was like a bar that wasn't in a town where I was a cop.
Yeah, I get it. That makes sense.
Run into people like, yeah, nah, it's just
yeah.
I always support him though, and always go there when it's like lunch or dinner time or something like that, because his wings are just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So getting back to law enforcement, my brother's a police officer, and just talking to him, I mean, it seems like it is the hardest time to be a cop right now. And you kind of like dove into that full force. Was that something that you thought about growing up?
I think when it comes down to being a police officer, I think it's just a service. And I've been working in a school since I was 13, and it's a service business if you think about it. So it wasn't really hard to transition. It was really just, going through you learn as you go kind of thing. So there's so many things to learn as you go as a police officer compared to teaching. But I guess it's the same thing. You run in different scenarios with parents and adults. So I went in it, but I'm a firm believer that, the pendulum swings. And unfortunately, sometimes people judge you by one bad apple instead of rest. But you have that everywhere. People always want to say, like the shooting. There was a shooting lately, and me and my chief watched it, and we were like, we should put it out to the department, and we put it out and did a review on it. Everybody had to do a review, even me. I wrote a whole review of what I thought about it. Was the lady, I forgot what it was, but what state it was where she got shot. She dropped the boiling water, got shot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, the Massey, and her name was the boiling water.
Yeah.
I watched that video today, just coincidentally, and
yeah.
All right, go ahead, please.
But there's so many mistakes like you see in the video. But I mean, the first thing is having that guy. It's his stake, his mistake, and obviously he deserves the charges. But as much as his mistake, it's his department's mistake, because the guy resigned from 5 or 6 different other police departments. Why is he still a police officer? That's the first thing at the get-go.
Yeah.
But you could tell. Some people said, "Oh, she's an EDP." I'm like, yeah, she might have been a little emotionally stirred, but I think she was very uncomfortable. And what she said was she was trying to break the tension, because the officers were very serious, and just break the tension. I feel like, and sorry, my wife walked in.
All good.
And she's not wearing pants, so it's throwing me off.
and he's like, neither am I.
Shorts right now. But you can see she was just trying to break the ice of the situation. She never got that far. Even the second officer, some people, have different terminology, but literally the second officer like takes out his gun too, and the other officer like steps in and like he lasers. So when we say you laser someone, like have your gun pointed in the wrong direction where you shouldn't be like pointing at someone, whatever it is, you know what I mean? But he lasers the back of him. So the whole scenario was horrible, and unfortunately, it was going around. And me, I don't think of it. I just if I'm dealing with your mom, I'm going to treat her the same way I treat my mom. You know what I mean? Like that was a big thing that stuck in my head from, Chief, my buddy Mike runs the department. So like, that's your parent. You know what I mean? How would you want some, if cops dealing with your parent, how would you want them to treat them? So I've always treat people like, always cool with people, unless they had, like, it's never been an issue. Unless it's one of those scenarios where they are emotionally disturbed, then this is a whole different scenario, because it's not one of those things that you could talk them, but it's going to be a long conversation, and hopefully you can bring them down from wherever manic they're at. And then when people are really drunk too, it's always kind of tough when they start. But that whole thing, don't judge. Obviously bad apple right there. But I go, some people say stuff, and I go, listen. I go, there are bad people out there. Unfortunately, sometimes they're police officers. Not every officer is a great officer. Not every officer goes above and beyond. Not every officer, goes to a call and cares. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Way it is. But do you have the same thing as doctors? Do you go and vet your doctors? Do you go to your doctor? You go to this one doctor, like, he sucks, and go somewhere else?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you do. You know what I mean? It's the same scenario. The only difference is that, you can kind of step away from that doctor and be like, yeah, I'm not seeing it again. Where if you're having an interaction with law enforcement, you kind of just, your best bet is just to let it roll out, shut your mouth, do whatever they say, you know what I mean? And then from there, sign a complaint against them and let internal affairs handle it from there. But that's the whole thing. Unfortunately, we do have that predicament where there are some bad officers. And I'm lucky enough in our department that all the guys are cool and everybody's down to earth. And I think with the defensive tactics, make it even better and these guys more confident and more easygoing when it comes to calls like that. Going back to, we went way off, but going back to it's definitely a hard time, but the pendulum is unfortunately had one or two bad incidents. And again, people don't realize, like, New Jersey sets the bar at training and standards for police officers. A lot of these other states, they just go in for an interview and then they're hired, and then they learn as they don't even do an academy or anything like that. You know what I mean? They qualify them, they do this, they do that, and that's it. They're a cop. Where we have to do a 5.5, 6 month academy to be a law enforcement, and then there's continuous training we have to do every year. Like New Jersey sets the bar even for New York. We set the bar across the board with everything. So it's kind of hard to say, listen, you got this guy, like, he shouldn't have been a cop at all. If he was in New Jersey, he wouldn't have been a cop. That's for sure. You know what I mean? So it's a whole different bar. Like, when was the last time you really heard something really bad in New Jersey? Besides, I think the worst thing I've heard in the past, like, 2 or 3 years was that one, I don't know if he was a chief or a captain. I think he was a chief, and he was intoxicated on scene. And
I saw that video too. Yeah.
But he was already under investigation, and I think he was already going to be out the door. I think whatever it is, this just kind of the Campbell's back. But listen, the pendulum goes, what I'll say into your family member too, the pendulum goes back and forth. It goes into where, more community policing until you're always doing community policing, but then you get a little more proactive with, what you're doing. And it's slowly swinging the other way with being more proactive. But obviously the most ideal thing is doing super community policing and doing super proactiveness. Those are the best. And now in Park, we're busy as hell, so we try to be a little more proactive. But I can tell you one thing that we don't slack on is our community policing.
Good,
awesome.
And I hope somehow, some way, other states take note, because this could lead to better people, better. The confrontations can be de-escalated, as we spoke about. I'm a little older. I come from another old school a little bit. officer comes up to me, I immediately drop to a level 1. Yes, officer. No problem, officer. It's just I was just my father was a police officer, and that's the way I was raised. What I can't fucking take on Instagram or anything like that is like videos that get popped up, license and registration. Windows down that much.
Yeah.
Badge number. Your name. Badge number. Who's your authority? Like, I mean, I don't know if these videos are set up somehow, some way, but I just can't. I get it if it's your right, but
we call those sovereign citizens. So I was on a YouTube video, and maybe he'll actually see this. So I was on a YouTube video, and the guy was filming in a public area, and you could film in a public area. Like a lot of police officers, like get upset when people are filming. I'm like, you could film, just they just can't, intrude on your investigation. You know what I mean? If they get in the way of something, but you could film. Like no big deal. I don't even care because I'm filming too. You're filming, I'm filming. We're both filming. But I know the employees were a little annoyed and people felt uncomfortable because he was just there filming. So I went in and I started talking. I'm like, all right, what's up, man? I'm like, so my partner was there and I'm like, hey, I'm like, all right, let's just go. Cause I go to the ladies. I'm like, if it gets any worse, let us know. But he could film here as a public area. So the guy goes to me. He's like, oh man, can I keep talking to you? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. And like, I looked at him for a second, had a whole big conversation in my head and then walked away. And I think in his YouTube video, he was like, oh, I think this officer was slower or something like that, or something was wrong with him. And I'm like, no, I was just had a conversation in my head trying to debate whether if you were actually special needs or Joe and you were just being one of these sovereign citizens. Later to find out that I was on the video, my partner was, and he's just one of those sovereign citizens. But I literally had a conversation in my head looking at him because the way he was talking to, I'm like, I mean, I get it if he's just special and he's just filming this. I get on one hand, he's being sovereign citizen, on the other hand, but he might just be special. I might need to punch a policing card and help this dude out and get him a sticker. But I don't know. I don't know how he is. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, I'm just going to leave it be. I'm like, he's like, you stay. I'm like, nah, man, but listen, have a good day. And I walk away. I don't get why they do that. I don't get what point they're trying to prove. It's ridiculous. I mean, I know people that are very like, if someone pulls them over, they just do whatever the police officer says. But at the same time, they're very believing to the Constitution and whatever the Constitution said. Like, you don't need to do all this stuff to be able to drive and do all these things, but we have to now. It's, but again, the Constitution is out there and all these laws were made. And what the states have is they have the Constitution, but they can enhance the laws. For example, like some states, if you're an officer, you can go through the garbage. In New Jersey, I can't go through your garbage. I have to get a warrant to go through your garbage, or else I'm violating your Fourth Amendment. So there's stuff like that.
Gotcha.
I think those people just like being jerk offs for some reason. Like, and you said the problem is there's no fear, and like a lot of my family is law enforcement. Even before my brother was a cop, I always would listen to like my cousins and stuff like that. They're like, well, when a cop is pulling you over, you think you're nervous. Like, well, the cop also doesn't know what they're walking up to, right? So like I always like keep my hand on the wheel. Let's say license registration. I'm like, you mind it's in my center console. Like, always did that out of like just respect because first off, I didn't want to get in trouble for anything. Number one, but also too, it's like letting you know, like, hey, listen, I'm good. I'm not gonna, I'm not one of these assholes. So
yeah. No, I totally agree. I mean, you get it mixed everything. I've had one time pull up the race car and said I was racist, and I'm like, listen, I know you're having a bad day and everything, just parking on private property. Here's 2 tickets. The other 2 I gave you warnings on. Have someone pick up the car that has a license. It just happens, man. Everybody, tries to play the victim now, which I'm not a big fan of. But I still, you deal with. I don't know what you guys do, but I've always learned someone's like that. Just come with kindness. That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you just change their way, their thought. You know what I mean? So there's so many scenarios I could tell you about, and I like ridiculous.
I always confuse kindness with sarcastic prick. So that's what I go with.
That's probably why they're still fucking you.
Yeah, exactly. So let's shift gears real quick before we let you go. Did you watch the the video of, I guess now he's technically your boss, Conor McGregor, come down to the ring at the latest BKFC in Sturgis, guzzle a beer, kind of ramble a little bit. What's your take on Conor being part owner of BKFC?
I think it's really a good thing. I think Dave Feldman's very smart. He's bringing more attention and publicity to it. You have one of the biggest stars, combat stars out there, just owning a part of the company and bringing more attention to it. I think it's good. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a bad thing. And I also, I'm not trying to overstep or anything, but I don't know how much say he has into things where
Sure.
I think Feldman's still running it. And again, Dave has, I've been a part of this, organization for 3-4 years now. I think Dave runs it really successful. He does it very smart, and wherever makes sense business wise, he does. And I think it's a great thing. And one of the reasons he signed me is, being able to be a Northeast guy, and I'm looking hopefully soon to fight in the Northeast, and that'd be freaking awesome. Fighting New Jersey, Connecticut's close. Not that close, but it's close. But being able in New Jersey, fighting at Prudential Center in Atlantic City, my whole local promotion I was fighting at Atlantic City.
Mm-hmm.
I got to fight at Prudential Center. You know what I mean? That was awesome in the UFC. It's just being that close to home it feels good, real good.
Do you know a buddy of mine, Mike Constantino? He owned AMA Fight Club. He said that I forget what promotion it was that he worked with Feldman. Yeah. And he says he's a real good dude. Like, he's a good dude. Speaks very highly of him.
Feldman, yeah, he's good. Yeah. I don't know if Feldman worked with CFFC. I don't really know. I never looked in that or understood any of that. If he did, I'm not sure of the past and stuff. But just all in all, Feldman is a good dude. He's a real good dude, and if it makes sense in business, he'll do it. And he's just a nice dude. You know what I mean? Real cool, down to earth guy.
And I'll say he's BKFC is exploding, right? And it's getting fighters that are known like yourself, like people that a certain. I mean, to do that, you have to have that almost like exciting type of a style like you do, where like you just scrap and you throw, and I think that's what's building the sport, like you said with Conor McGregor. Any involvement, I guess, any publicity is good publicity, right? Because he's the exposure you get for how many people he could reach. So I think that BKFC seems like it's really, really, really given MMA something else to think about. People that fight in MMA, like, hey, you do have an alternative.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, too, I don't think BKFC is it's not. It's not in competition with Bellator, UFC, or what's it called, PFL. I think it's in competition with boxing, and I think it's doing way better than boxing. There's a lot more exciting than boxing, and you see how many shows they put on. I just think it's passing boxing now. I don't the only thing I feel like is keeping boxing alive, or some of these very few people. Like, you have a couple people like Davis. You got Garcia, but now he's suspended. And I think the only person really keeping boxing alive and going is Jake Paul. I think he's his job with how he does and selling fights. I think he's really the very few that's just keeping it going. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I just think bare knuckles just surpassing it. I just think it's doing unbelievable. And there's other promotions now doing bare knuckle boxing too, and I just think it's setting the standard. And I think, too, if people say, oh, it's not competing with UFC. It's a completely different sport. There's so much things different from it. But in that boxing world, it's top notch. It's at the top.
So I guess you touched on it a little bit before. It's, when you're training for an MMA fight, I mean, you're training everything, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, whatever it may be. This, you're basically just training boxing, right? I mean, it's got to be less taxing on your body.
It's definitely less taxing, and it's a lot more funner too, because I just got to focus on one art form, and I could really perfect that art form compared to trying to perfect like 4 or 5 different ones. So I just like the fact that I could do that. I like being able to focus on one thing and get really, really good at it. And it's light on my body.
Good.
Now, is the door still open to MMA?
I don't think it ever shut, but I don't know if I'll ever. It's got to be something really big for MMA. You know what I mean? For me to get in it. I know Dave's not against it if I did an MMA fight, but it's got to be something super, super big. But right now, I'm just enjoying doing the bare knuckles so much that I don't even think about the MMA.
Nice. Is when you believe your next potential fight will be?
I'm hoping October, November. I'm just waiting on date and venue, and from there it'll be announced right away. I know Bare Knuckle will announce it first, and then you'll just see my social media being flooded with it.
Nice.
Awesome. Listen, me and Archie sometimes do some food reviews. Maybe we'll meet up and do a special donut review.
That's it.
Well, we might have to go to Tom's River then and hit
Fuck
that.
yeah.
Might be a trip. That sounds good.
Yeah, good.
Talk about real quick. Plug your gym in Short Hills.
Yeah, so I own. So we have about 50 locations. So I own a Tiger Showman's in Short Hills, and we teach from ages 3 all the way up to adults. And listen, being a police officer, giving back to the community, and doing this at the same time, giving back. A lot of the kids that come in, the parents bring them in to build confidence, or they're not disciplined, they're easy to give up, or they need self-defense. And basically that's what my program does, is that, our Tiger Showman program, we teach them how to defend themselves, which builds confidence. We teach them discipline in the class, but in a positive way, not like the military where they break you down. That discipline turns into self-discipline, and then they have a lot of achievements and build their confidence. So the kids go in there and they just do, doesn't matter if they don't know left and right, if they're not athletic, whatever it is, might be, can work with any kid, and they just get really good and they build that confidence. And the same thing goes for adults. Adults is still building confidence. They want to get in shape. So if they know they look good, they're going to feel good. And I have that small percentage that's been in a situation where maybe it was domestic, or maybe they got in a fight in the street, it was self-defense, or they're just uncomfortable. They're just uncomfortable in a situation, taking like public transportation or walking to the mall and teach them self-defense. So it's an awesome thing to be able to give back and help people out. I don't even feel like it's a job. I just feel like it's something I get to do to give back. At the same time, I do get paid to do it, but I love it and it's fun. And literally, our classes start at 4 and they finish at like 9. 5 hours goes by like that. It doesn't feel like work. Put it towards that. I never go in there that I'm doing work. I feel like I'm going in there, changing some kid's life, some adult's life, and feeling good at the end of the day about it.
Awesome.
That's awesome, dude. Let me tell you something. We so appreciate you coming on. Absolutely, you have an amazing outlook on helping people, whether it's in your gym, whether it's being a police officer. One of the most exciting fighters that we've seen, and we really appreciate you, Jimmie. Thank you so much.
No, anytime. And then let me know. We'll make that trip to Tom's River and try it.
Fuck yeah.
We're gonna take you up on that, brother. Thank you so much.
Do you guys ride motorcycles at all, or have a motorcycle?
I don't.
I didn't get that side of cool. I didn't. I fucking... you do, right?
What?
You do, right?
I do. And then I had a crotch rocket and a Harley, and I got rid of the crotch rocket because I told my wife I'm tired of you riding in the back of mine. So I got her a Harley, so she rides. But she was always a country girl from PA. She's a better shot than I am.
Yeah.
So these days, I put it up a while back, saying happy birthday to her when she's like 10 years old with Bambi on the back of the bed. You know what I mean?
Fantastic.
But that. So yeah, love riding. Don't get out to do it enough. Just too busy. But
yeah,
do love riding. On that note, I'm gonna let you go because I hear my kids. I don't know if you hear them because we had.
But I hear mine.
Bye.
No, I didn't hear anything.
Helicopter went by, and now I hear the kids yelling. I'm gonna go pack my wife up. Guys for having me. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys soon. Tag me, whatever you put.
Stay safe, please.
Yes.
Yeah, appreciate it. I'll see you guys. If you're in Elwood Park, just find out if I'm working, or maybe I'll pull you over and we have food.
All right, brother.
All right,
talk to you later, bro.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the one and only Jimmie Rivera.
El Terror.
Jimmie Rivera.
That's a good dude.
We always say that, because we always do have good dudes and good and cool girls on, or cool women on our podcast. But
you know what it is? I think it's a
fucking
certain
cool dude.
It's a certain breed of people that like actually want to come and talk and like actually share their stories. I think if you're like a complete asshole, I guess you just don't want to be bothered, right?
Don't want to do it.
Yeah. No, he's dude, what a good dude. Like and the way he just talks about, again, I talk about my brother and friends that are police officers. It really is a tough job. It's really, really tough now. His outlook is tremendous. I guess though, like, you're going, MMA is one thing, right? I get it. And we know how much we give those athletes the most credit. Like that's the hardest shit, right? But like bare knuckle boxing, it's like it doesn't get much more primal than that, right? Somebody's going in there and wants to literally punch your fucking face in. And this guy has no fear. So I think that's what makes him a good police officer and a good teacher, because it's not like some people have that chip on their shoulder, like they're overcompensating. He doesn't need to, because he can do it all. So
yeah. Well, Rocco, with that being said, what do you have to say to the people?
You just heard us talking to our boy, Jimmie Rivera, and you're like my old, off-the-boat Italian uncle, and you're going to wear your Sergio Tacchini tracksuit because you don't fucking care. If everybody stops and stare, then you just listen to Not These Two Fucking Guys podcast.
We out.